Hey everyone. So I've been getting a lot of questions about what I use, um, just a bunch of different questions, and hopefully this video will answer questions. Plus, if you're a beginner or you're looking to come down and fish Southeast Florida offshore, you can pretty much get all the answers to your questions in this video. Maybe you'll pick up a trick or two, who knows. So I'm just going to go with a rundown of everything I use. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've seen a lot, I've tried a lot, and this is pretty much what kind of works for me. Um, so we're going to start at the front of the kayak. That's where I got my fish bag. It's about 36 inches. It's a boom bag, but a variety of manufacturers make kayak bags. Now, I do have an older style Outback, so it's a 2017 model, I believe. Um, it's got the seat, you know, it might be 2016 because it doesn't have the reverse fins. But, anyways, because of that, I like to keep the bag up front. I bungee it to the kayak itself, just so it doesn't fly off when it's a little bit rougher conditions. Um, as far as essentials go, always have a life jacket. It can be just one like this, it could be an inflatable one. You never know what's going to happen out there, so it's always best to be prepared. As far as first aid goes, my very pitiful few band-aids. I mean, it works just in case if I get, a fish bites me, like let's say I accidentally stick my hand in a snapper's mouth and it bites me, I don't get blood everywhere. It's just to stop the bleeding. Um, Also, as far as safety goes, I have a flag on just an old fishing rod. Just something that people can see you when they're going out. But I usually go with the notion that every boat cannot see me. So even if a boat's coming at me from a ways away and it's midday, I'll try and get out of their way. Um, as far as going out early in the morning to catch gogs, I do have a 360-degree light that it's not on here right now, but I do have one. And I also carry a headlamp. And that's pretty much it for the essentials. Oh, also, almost forgot, radio. Something can go bad, you can always radio the Coast Guard and they'll come and get you. Plus, if you go out with friends, instead of being within shouting distance, you can be within radio range. So instead of being 50 feet apart, you can be 50, 100, 150 yards apart, which makes a huge difference when you're trying to find the fish. So, with the essentials out of the way, now, as far as electronics go, I like to have a fish finder with a GPS. I mean, obviously it shows the depth, but it's got to have a GPS and it's got to show which way I'm going. So let's say you're out there in 250, you're pedaling out, I'm heading straight east. A lot of times you're not heading straight east, you're either heading northeast or southeast because with that current it pushes you. And I want to know, hey, if I'm heading east, am I heading northeast or southeast? So I can adjust my heading and head straight east. It also has the tracking feature, which I like because, if I'm gog fishing, it it shows me where I caught the gogs, so I can do circles around there and catch gogs. I'll do an in-depth video on how to catch bait in a later video. For now, it's just a rundown. So, obviously got my headlamp, got all that. Now, as far as de-hooking items, knives and stuff like that, I carry one set of pliers, a knife, a de-hooker, and a pair of wire cutters. The wire cutters are to obviously cut wire, cut line and stuff. Pliers obviously to get the hooks out. Knife is an oh crap moment. I've had a reel literally blow up in my hands because I packed the mono on there too tight and I had to use the knife to cut the line. As far as the de-hooker goes, when I'm gog fishing, and let's say I hook, a gog swallows my my sabiki hook, de-hooker comes in handy. I can just get it tight, real tight. It'll get to the hook and I can just flip them off. So no harm, no foul. As far as taking pictures and stuff, got a Scotty mount here with the GoPro. It's a little bit easier that way. Let's say you catch a mediocre size king, like a 10-15 pound king, a 10-pound blackfin, something that's nice but not, holy crap, let me call my friend over nice. I can take pictures with that, record videos with that, do whatever, and not have to call over my buddy. On the other side, I also keep my paddle. That other side is I mainly keep free because that's usually the side I enter my kayak in. Also, I carry a pair of gloves. It's good for when I'm jigging, because I like to speed jig, not slow pitch jig. You get, it rubs off on you when you're jigging and it cuts through your skin eventually. So I like to wear gloves, kind of mitigates that. Plus, let's say you're dealing with multiple sails in a day. After one, your hands get all tore up from the bill. You can wear the gloves after. Alright, now this is a little bit of fun, but I like to carry a speaker with me just because on those days when there's current and you're pedaling for 2-3 hours, I like to listen to music to get my mind off of what I have to do, and it really helps. You don't think about it, you jam the music, you're just kind of relaxing out there. Now, we're getting to the good stuff, the juicy stuff, the tackle. So, first and foremost, I have a little bag right here, and it carries all my sabiki stuff. Now I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. If you're coming in from out of town, you're spending a lot of money, time, and effort to come down. You don't want a chance catching bait. Meaning, you don't want to think, okay, I'm going to go out and catch 10 gogs when you're going on a full moon and you might get 2 if you're lucky. So, for the out-of-towners that are coming one day, my suggestion would be to buy bait. It's an expense. Yeah, gogs are between $8 and $10 a fish. Pilchards are around $30 to $40 a dozen. But it'll make or break your trip if you don't have bait. With that being said, if you're coming down for multiple days or you're local and you're just getting into this, I suggest getting some sabikis to catch gogs, specifically. Now, some of the local guys are going to kill me because we all learned from the same bait guide, but D119 hayabusas. I cut them in half, and I'll use 3 hooks and the snap swivel. And on the snap swivel, I'll put a little 1/8 ounce crappie jig. You can buy them at Bass Pro for I think it's like $3 for 10, so they're pretty cheap. And your rig will look something like this. So I'll cut just a little bit off, and it'll be 3 hooks and the crappie jig, so it's 4 hooks total. If I get a stringer, quote-unquote stringer full, it's 4 fish. I just need 8 baits per day, realistically. 2 stringer fulls, I'm good to go. I can go. What I do is I'll cut after the 3rd hook and tie just a uni to uni, and usually I'll have another knot, like an FG knot, to my main line, just so that I can reel up till this knot and I won't get the uni to uni in the rod tip. It's just a heads up sort of thing. But I'll toss this out and troll it, and I'll load up on gogs. Alright, so we got the bait down. Now, as far as leader goes, these are the only 2 spools I take with me. It's 40-pound mono and 60-pound mono. I'll use the 40-pound for if I'm jigging for tuna or live baiting and I need a little mono top shot or leader. That's about 10-15 feet, 40-pound. If I'm jigging the Rex, or let's say I'm jigging shallow and there's kingfish, I'll go to 60, just so I can have that little bit of extra oomph just in case. But these are the only two things that I use. My motto is always KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So I try and bring bare minimum. Alright, next up, we're going to what I like to do, which is bring about, I would say, 5 to 8 to 10 stinger rigs. Just somewhere between that range, 5 to 10. However many gogs you think you're going to use, that's the amount of stinger rigs I do. Now, some people use titanium. I use single strand because if I get a kingfish and I bring it into the kayak, or something toothy, a wahoo, barracuda, shark, I'm just going to cut the stinger rig off and retie a new one. I'm not going to go dig in and try and get my titanium rig back so I can use it again. It just is a waste of time. I just want to get the fish in, put it in the fish bag, and keep on fishing. So I'll bring usually 7 to 8 stinger rigs, and again, bare minimum, that's it. Now, as far as weights go, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. I bring a variety of weights, and I use them on a balloon clip. And I'll just clip it on the line and just set it as is. And a lot of times when I'm drifting, that's what I'm going to use. Just because I can get a bait out, I can get it far, I don't have to move. It's something simple. I don't have a rubber band to break off. But in a pinch, and let's say you can't get your hands on some balloon clips. Oh, and also with the balloon clips, I'm old-fashioned. Captain Ryan Van Fleet down in the Keys showed me this way back in the day, and they never made these clips made for weights. So what I had to do was drill a hole in it and take a zip tie and zip tie my weights to it. Now it's good, but if I want to change the weights on the clip, I got to cut the zip tie off and put on a new one. It's raining a little bit, but hopefully I can get through this. Okay, so it's raining a lot here. I was going to go offshore today, but kind of glad I did. So that's why I'm doing this video. So let's get back to the weights. So in a pinch, I also carry some rubber bands just in case, because if you catch like a fast moving fish like a sailfish, a big king, a wahoo, the line will wear through on the plastic, so it makes the weight hard to come off. And I don't want to just stop using that weight if that's the depth that the fish are biting in, so I'll use rubber bands just in case, or in a dire situation. So alright, another thing I forgot to mention, another thing I forgot to mention is my gaff. I always keep it on the side with my fish finder and my downrigger. That's because I'm not getting in on that side, so I don't have to worry about poking myself. As far as the gaff goes, just a 3-foot gaff, nothing special. Don't need the hook to be monstrous. Just something to gaff these 10 to 20 pound fish, but if I do get something like 50 plus, it can still handle it. And it's got enough reach to where if a fish is a little bit further away, I can reach out and grab them. Some people use the Hawaiian spears. I'm not a fan of the Hawaiian spears because you're pushing the fish away from you. And I've seen it where if that tip isn't sharp, you'll keep on poking it, and it just won't go on. It won't cut through the fish. So that's why I prefer gaffs over the Hawaiian spears. And don't get me wrong, if you're going for big mahi or big cobia or something, yeah, that's where that spear would come in handy. But for down here, for blackfin, for 10-15 pound kings, for various bottom fish, we really don't see cobia a lot. The mahi are 10 pounds on average. During the summertime they're 20 inches, but in the fall and winter they're around 8 to 10 pounds on average. But you're hardly going to come across those monstrous fish that you actually need to spear and kill before you bring them into the kayak. So, got that out of the way. Now, let's go on and talk about this thing right here. Now, a lot of people don't use downriggers. That's because they really don't know what to use. We'll start at the bottom. What I like to do is I have a 3-pound ball. I've experimented, I've used heavier ones, I've used lighter ones. 3 pounds is a nice range where you can still maneuver a bit, still actually pedal, and you're not hindered, and it still has the bait down deep. Now, as far as after that, a lot of people will have that little bullshit clip that attached to the back fin of the downrigger ball, and it has a little pin clip. That's not really meant for live baiting. It's kind of meant for lures. So what I use is a snap swivel to the weight, about 2 to 3 foot of cable, and to that cable I have 2 crimps and I have a kite clip in there. Reason being, if I'm trolling a live bait, I want that thing to just pop out. Alright, it's gonna pour on me any minute now, but we'll get through this. It's just water. So I have that kite clip on there. And we'll be trolling and then it'll pop, and it's easier to pop this versus the pinch clip, because if you put the pinch clip in a little bit too, or the line in a little bit too deep in the pinch clip, you can miss bites that way, and you control it just like half a gog the entire time. Whereas this, it's a little bit more sensitive. You can adjust the tension, and then I just have it crimped to a loop, and then a snap swivel on my main line. Now, for the main line, I like to have some mono on there. Just a couple feet of mono. Just so when I get the mono on the downrigger, when I'm fighting a fish, I know when to stop reeling on the downrigger. Because if you're reeling it up real quick and you have a big fish on, you're all excited, and next thing you know, you reel up the snap swivel to the roller, and you pop off the downrigger, and then you're out of a downrigger ball and everything for the trip at least. So that's kind of there as a heads up. And I also have like a 100-pound braid after that. I don't use steel because it vibrates in the water and stuff. There's a lot of cons using steel versus braid. Had to wait out a storm. As you can see behind me, it's pitch black, which very glad I didn't fish today. But back to what we were talking about. So downrigger, and what I do for the clip, you can see the clip right here. Actually, I'll make it easy on myself. Take the ball off. Now, with the clip, it's fairly simple. get the line. So what I'll do is I'll put out in and around alright. So I'll put out like in and around 30, 40, 50 feet out. Put the bait out about 50 feet out with the before coming tight. And then what I'll do is take the line and twist it up. And you see this hole right here at the bottom? That's what's going to go in your clip. So now, as you can see, the line going up goes to the rod. This line right here goes to the bait. And once a fish bites the bait, it'll come tight and pop out just like that. I'll do it one more time because I don't know if the camera caught it. And I like to twist it about 10 times, 15 times. Doesn't really matter too much. But in the clip, just pull it tight and it pops just like that. And a lot of times you'll get some short strikes. I'll just leave it in the rod tip until it either takes off or a minute or two goes by and nothing happens, and I'll reel it up. So that's for pretty much it for the downrigger. Now we're getting to the back side of the kayak, and while we're going at it, we'll go over the bread and butter. I've gotten very good at using live bait, and over 10 years I've kind of dumbed it down to two things. You're either going to want pilchards or gogs. If you can get your hands on a bullet bonita, that works too. Blue runners also work. But mainly, pilchards and gogs. Now for the gogs, you know, you want your stinger rig from the swivel to the first hook. I put about 16 inches of wire, give or take. And from the hook to the stinger hook, I kind of gauge on where it'll naturally lie on a gog about midway. So first hook will go into the nostril, second hook will kind of just go somewhere in the back. I use J hooks, specifically Mustad. I believe they're O'Shaughnessy live bait hooks or something like that. They're like $2.50 for a pack of 4, so pretty cheap. And what I do on these hooks, on pretty much any of my hooks, I'll put a little piece of rubber band on it, just so it stops. You know, once you hook them in the nostril, that rubber band will stop it from sliding up the hook and hooking itself back again. And for the treble hook, I use a VMC number 2 hook. They come in a pack of like 25 for I think $8 or $9. So pretty simple, pretty cheap. For the swivel, I use the smallest Spro swivel. I think it's the 50-pound swivel. And as for the rod, I mean, you could use any rod. I went custom a long time ago. I bought this rod in, I want to say 2015, and it's still working wonders. Everyone will always ask, oh, your rod's upside down at the tip. It's meant to be that way. Specifically for the downrigger, you know, the rod's bent down. With normal conventionals, they want to swivel a little bit. This way it stays put, everything's good. You could use pretty much a wide variety of live bait setups or live bait rods. You know, typically I like around 7 foot. That's kind of the happy medium. 6'6" is a little bit too short to get around the tip of the kayak. Anything above 7 foot, it's a little bit too long for bringing smaller fish in. As far as leader goes, after the swivel, like I said, about 10-15 feet, a 40-pound mono, and you could go fancy and tie a bimini and you know, just have stronger connections, but you can go as simple as a uni to your main line. On this particular setup, I have a 20-pound mono top shot after 300 yards of 30-pound braid. Now that 30-pound braid's crucial. It's not meant for, you know, the 15, 20-pound fish we're targeting. It's meant for those 50-plus pound fish that you might hook. You know, here in South Florida, we're lucky enough to have deep water very close, which also means we get some unusual fish that kind of randomly come through, such as giant yellowfin, marlin. I know a number of people that have seen swordfish in shallow. Just a bunch of just odd fish. You could hook 100-pound wahoo here too, but that braid's there just to survive one of those runs. From the braid to the top to the leader for the mono top shot, I kind of just gauge it until it looks full. So it could be 100 yards, could be 200 yards. Just fill your reel up. Now, as far as the reels go, I like compact conventionals, you know, such as an Avest MXL. Could go with, if you don't have the money, I mean, you could pick one of these up on the Facebook Marketplace for around $100. But you could go anywhere as cheap as a Penn Fathom to all the way up to a Talica. Now, as you can also see, it's also leashed. Anything that I have that's pretty expensive, I leash, because eventually you do flip. You know, it might not be the first trip, might not be the 100th trip, but eventually you're gonna flip. And I just want to save, you know, the crucial stuff that are a little bit more expensive. Pro Yacker makes a great leash. I've used his leashes for God knows how long, and I have yet to put them to the test as far as falling into the water, but hopefully, you know, it's like insurance. You get it and you hope you never use it. So my second live bait setup, like I said, could go Talica, which is what I've done. I like to have a lot of people like to have the same reels. I like to have two different reels so that the clicker is a little bit different. You know, if I have both of these in the back rod holders and I hear a clicker go off, I know exactly which rod went off, because each clicker is different. This one, I have it rigged up for pilchards, and for pilchards, I go small. 2/0 circle hook, you know, with that rubber band obviously. I have a non-slip knot on there, just so I can have a loop. And again, about 50 foot of 40-pound leader, just because I'm going for tuna. I leave the wire at home. You know, when I'm using pilchards, I'll get 2 dozen, and a solid 4 or 5 of those will get cut off. It's just the name of the game. Under the 50-foot leader, I have it filled to the brim with 40-pound braid. And I have that specifically for, let's say, if I get a bullet bonita or a big blue runner. This will also be my bait on top, because a lot of times that's the more likely bait that's going to get hit by the monster wahoo, the marlin, you know, just something different. And I want to have the line capacity to withstand, you know, that first run. As far as the rod goes, again, custom rod. I have it a little bit heavier because this is also my go-to light bottom fishing rod. That's another reason why I have the braid on there. So this is a multi-purpose rod. Again, I keep it simple. I don't try and overcomplicate things. I don't bring a rod for every use, but it's rated up to 10 ounces. I kind of go a little bit heavier, but typically what I'll do is cut off all the top shot, put on a swivel, put on another swivel so that there's a little piece of piece of 40 pound in there, and I'll take one of these weights. Typically I'll carry 16, 20, 24 ounces with me, just in case the bite's slow and I want to try and get something. That's when I'll resort to bottom fishing. I'll take the 24 ounce quick swap out on here. I also, because I mentioned that, I do carry extra zip ties just so I can swap these out. And I'll clip it on in that little section of between the two swivels, add like 100 foot a leader, and drop down a live bait and just kind of bump bottom, see if I can't pick up a mutton or something. So after that, we went through my live bait setups. Now we'll talk jigging. I'm a speed jigger, and you could get all fancy and spend $2,000 on a combo. I'm simple. I've outfished a lot of people in terms of tuna on this ugly stick jigging rod. And the only reason I switched to this was because there was a certain someone, I won't name names, years ago. He caught like, I think it was 4 tuna that were pushing 20 pounds. And him and I were using the same everything, same jig, same main line, same leader, same technique. Only thing different was the rod. He had an ugly stick, I did not. So I switched over to it because it had that a little bit better flick with the heavier jigs. As far as jigs go, or let's go to the reels first. So I like Cabos. I try and go light as possible. It's a Cabo 50. It weighs like 13 ounces, and it holds 320 yards of 30-pound braid, which is perfect for jigging for tuna. I can speed jig this all day long, not get tired. Now as far as the leader goes, again, 40-pound leader, about 10 feet of it, nothing special. I do use a PR knot with all my connections from braid to mono. So this has a PR knot on it. I try and rig it up the night before with enough leader to where I can cut a few times and still have it. If I'm on the water, I'll tie an FG knot. As far as the jigs go, I'm comfortable jigging 100 to 250 gram jigs, but I make sure that they're slender speed jigs. As you can see, this one's been beat up by a bunch of toothy critters. And typically, I only take about 10-15 jigs at the most. I'm not going to go through all of them in one trip, so I try to not overcomplicate things. Majority of them are pink and glow or silver and glow. So, got those all set up. Now for the odd stuff. I'll bring an umbrella, because on hot summer days when there's no wind and the sun's kind of high like what it is now, I'll put the umbrella up just to give me some shade. Now this is one of the essential things that I bring. It's saved me multiple times and it's saved other people. A handheld bilge pump. They're $20 at Dick's Sporting Goods or Bass Pro, but it can literally save you out there from sinking. You know, it's something you don't want to use, but sometimes you end up using it. Obviously, a bump board, because if you catch one of those little over 20-inch mahi during the summer, you want to measure it. Or if you catch like a 18.5-inch mutton, you want to just make sure you're legal. Now, as far as live bait goes, you know, it's, let's see if you could see. Alright, so for live bait, Yeah, you can see. I caved and I went with the Hobie live well. You know, it's great and all, but it comes with its problems. Sometimes the the battery doesn't work, sometimes the pump goes out. There's a lot of things that go wrong with it. Sometimes it doesn't prime pop properly. Um, but the one good thing is I can hold 12, 13 gogs if I wanted to. But, you know, let's say, oh, you have an old town kayak or you have an old school ocean kayak, you know, just something that's not a Hobie. For years, I've gone with the old reliable bucket and bubbler. You know, these bubblers are $24. They're the ones that last for 60 hours and it aerates 8 gallons. And simple 5-gallon bucket. This will hold 5 gogs comfortably when it's filled. If you want to push it, it can hold 6, but if you have to get out there within 30-45 minutes and put 2 baits out real quick, it'll keep them pretty much all day. But if you don't have the Hobie live well, you don't want to spend $200 on a live well, you could go this route, get 2 buckets. You can have 10 gogs comfortably and still fish. I did it for years and I was fine. So you could also make your own live wells. There's tons of YouTube videos on that. I know quite a few people that have done it, but keep it simple. And last but not least, bait net. You know, you need sometimes when you're out there catching gogs, you have a hot hand. You're catching them, your buddy's not. You need to transfer him some gogs. Easy, simple way. You know, even let's say you have one more gog left in here and it's tough to catch. Again, easy, simple way. But that's pretty much it. Again, there's nothing too secretive that I use. But yeah, I just bring bare minimum stuff. There is one other thing that I bring, and let's see. I'll keep it in here. Let's see if I can get it out. I carry these small Yozuri poppers. And what I'll do is, on the way out, let's say there's tuna around, or I know there's been some weeds out there, I'll cut off my sabiki. Oh, speaking of sabiki rod, almost forgot. So this is my sabiki rod. You know, again, it's custom. You don't have to go custom, but it's a 7-foot, 8 to 14 pound, medium light power rod made by Adrenaline Rods. All my custom rods are Adrenaline rods. Again, could go somewhere else. I've gone with him in 2015 and just never looked back. So, hold on. I ended up hooking my my other rod with the sabiki. I went gog fishing this morning, so this is actually what I used. But you know, something light, something that can handle 4 gogs at a time. It's also what I use for flats fishing. But that's, again, another video. It's got 20-pound main line, and it's filled to the brim with a spin fisher 3500. You know, something that's not too expensive. It can handle accidentally hooking a tarp in, which does happen when you're gog fishing. It can handle hooking tuna, hooking dolphin, stuff like that. But I'll cut my sabiki off on the way out, and once again use like 2 foot of 40-pound leader, and I'll use a popper. And I go with the smallest popper I could find. Little Yozuri. Honestly, it's probably meant for inshore, but I use it offshore. Because a lot of times those big tuna, they're busting on microscopic baits. And I wanted something small to mimic that. So I'll go with this. And because I have an inshore rod and it's made for light lures, I can bomb this thing a mile. But I'll carry this just in case. It always stays in my kayak, so I always have it. Now, as far as your sunglasses go, I mean, you can go with any pair. There's Costa, there's Bahio. I personally go with RCI. They're a local guy up in Cocoa Beach. They're great guys. Costa's gone a little bit downhill since they've been bought out by Luxottica. You could go with Smiths too, but again, I like local businesses, so I'll support RCI. They also do a lot of things for the Mosquito Lagoon, so I like to help them out when I can. So that's pretty much it. Again, I can't think of anything else that I use. This is just bare bones. I'm going to catch a few fish, have specific ways of doing it. Pretty much no way of going around it. As far as the hooks go for the bottom fish, I typically go a little bit higher, like a 5/0 circle hook, just because I'm using gogs. But other than that, it's pretty simple. A lot of people like to overcomplicate it. They'll bring 50 jigs, 8 rods, have a specific thing for each rod. It's like, dude, you're gonna use maybe 3 or 4 of those rods all day. And again, no slow pitch jigging rods on here. I love speed jigging. I am not a slow pitch guy. I have very strong opinions on slow pitch, but again, I'll keep those to myself. If you like slow pitch jigging, you could add a slow pitch rod on here. That's the only addition I would probably add. But yeah, other than that, I've been doing this for a long time, and this is pretty much what I've come down to mainly using every time. So hopefully you learned a lot. I'll put bait shops, the hooks I use for the stinger rigs, just kind of miscellaneous stuffs down in the description, so you can kind of gauge on as to what you need. But yeah, hopefully you guys can come down, or hopefully I could see you out there if you're a local, and hopefully you guys can get some monster fish. But yeah, till next time, see ya.